to spectacular. But we've got a great team on this. We've got people this has been our longest development project ever, but we do still have most of the people that started the project still working on it, plus all the people that we've added to fill out all the media work that needs to be done, all the extra design and programming. Robert commented a while ago, Robert Duffy, that when he joined id, now we have as many programmers on the Rage team as we had employees when he started. So the company has grown into, it's a much, much bigger place. And, there are aspects of that I do miss from the smaller company. Recently I spent some time working on iPhone projects, and that's just a completely different world where I could go off and just me personally kind of go over here, work really, really hard for a while, and a product pops out. And to contrast that, certainly it's cheating with using the classic stuff on there, using the old media and things like that. But there is a lot of truth to the kind of statement that a small team working on a tightly confined thing really can be an order of magnitude more productive. Like some of the iPhone work, I would have days where I write a couple thousand lines of code, and pretty good code that does what it needs to do, that accomplishes a lot of stuff, that goes in and says, these are the things we need to do. I'm just going to go make all these things happen. And it happens in such a short amount of time. And then young programmers scoff at this when they hear stuff like this, but on big projects, you sometimes have days where you change 5 lines of code, or you just change one tiny little thing here, or you're just chasing a bug and you actually don't write anything new and the entire day goes by and you're like, I didn't accomplish anything. And, that's hard. For people that like to build things, there's this sense of going in and building a whole bunch of stuff, and it's great. But the flip side of that is that we are building monuments with these current titles. The big title developments, when you do put 15 programmers on it and all of these people and you write millions of lines of code, these are titles that literally we couldn't have imagined 20 years ago when we were starting working on these. They are so fabulous with just everything that gets done in there. And it is more than one person can do or you could get done in a short amount of time. It takes a lot of people and a lot of man hours. And it is unfortunate that this kind of combinatorial communication thing just piles up. So each person, no matter how good, the larger the team, the bigger the project, the larger the code base, the less efficient they actually are. And it runs through in the back of my mind, it's like, well, couldn't we just split up and have 20 teams doing little projects? And there's an appeal to that, but the difference is the market is also kind of nonlinear in its response. The number one video game, computer console game, has sold more than every single iPhone title ever made put together, doubled at least. So there's a reason that we have 100-person teams on some big products on there, because that's how kind of the winner comes out of the market. And if you didn't put that extra effort into it, and you go from being number 1 to being number 20 on there, you're just going to be thinking in the back of your mind, well, did not putting that 50% more effort in mean that we made 1/20th of the impact that we wanted to on there? So we are kind of covering all the bases on there. I am really enjoying doing the mobile work. The stuff that, let me go in order here on big project to smaller ones and come back to that. So I can't say too much about the Doom project on there, because it is kind of funny that we have the Doom team on the bottom floor at our office and the Rage team up on top, and they staffed up pretty quickly. Doom is a great draw. You can attract some of the best people in the industry to come work on the next Doom game. That is a power that we had as id to staff this up quickly and efficiently with the best people for all of this. That really worked out well. We've got a great crowd down there, but it is what you hear from everybody as companies go from 50 to 100 people, where you start wandering around and you think, I've seen you around a few times, I think you work here. And there's that whole bottom, most of the people on the bottom floor, sorry, I wish they'd come up to my office and introduce yourself sometimes, because there is that weird thing about the company that I started on here, when we have people walking around in this, working on the projects for us, and we just can't all know each other on that. And as we grow a little bit more, that's going to get to be a little bit more of an issue there. But Doom is an interesting thing for us, and I'm not going to say too much about it because it is Kevin's project, and Kevin is playing everything really tight to his vest about this, about when he's going to talk about things. Even before the ZeniMax deal on here, the plan was that we're going to be very quiet, we're going to go all the way to vertical slice, we're going to wow everybody with what comes out, and not trickle much stuff out. But Doom is the first time ever in an id Software project. Actually, that's not true. If you go all the way back to like Doom 2, where we were able to do a project without doing major technology development on it. But ever since we went from Quake, Quake 2, Quake 3, Doom 3 on here, each of these was fairly arduous development changes on there. How I'd be going in, making big changes to the way the game works, the game engine, the code, all this, and it would leave the designers in this kind of wait-and-see mode about, well, how much can we have on here? Will we be able to do this? Will we be able to do that? And it was not an efficient way to do development. I mean, it let us do some great landmark stuff, but you would see people, especially at the beginning of a project, where they're doing something, but the designers are really kind of marking time until what they feel all the tools that are necessary are available. And of course, the programmers and the designers butt heads a little bit on this, where the designers will be like, oh, you haven't programmed this stuff, so we're not going to do this. And the programmers are like, well, you should be working with what you've got available. And there's always that level of kind of tension between the camps there. But with Doom, they've at least got something that has the Rage team, while we're not done, and there's still going to be some of those things where it's like, you said this was going to be in Rage and we counted on it. We're going to have to deal with some of those things. But they basically they were able to hit the ground running with fully functional technology, with a team that's already using it in media-rich applications, and it's basically, to a greater or lesser degree, working. And it can be a design-focused game rather than an exploratory technology development on there. And it's an experiment for us, where historically we've done our titles. Our plan has been get a bunch of smart, talented people together, say, work really hard, make something cool. And it's pretty much worked out for us over the years on this. But as the projects get larger and larger, some level of management and interaction is inevitable. You can have 15 people and make a big circle, everyone look at everyone else and say, okay, everyone, do your best, let's work really hard, yell across the room when something needs to be fixed. But that doesn't work with 50, 60 people. And I can go on forever about opinions on programming, different things, technologies on this, but management, not my forte, have very few opinions on it, but I can certainly see that you can try things one way, you can try things another way, and the problem is it's not scientific. I'm as excited to see it as most of you guys are, to see how things start turning out. Now, one of the things with this that when we had the ZeniMax announcement on here, and we also announced that eventually it is going to become a 3-team company, 3 big titles, and that really is all we're planning for. I mean, I do not foresee 2 years from now we say, oh, we're going to do a 4th team on this. I think there's enough factors that are going to keep us at that level, and we're still in no huge hurry there. But it does bring up some of the real things that we need to start focusing on about how can we leverage all of these things between us? How can we make sure that the code stays more common between it, that we have the artists teaching each other how to do the things that they do, the designers conveying all of this, and we're still figuring all this out. I mean, we initially said, okay, we've got this plan for how we're going to start managing the code-based merges a little bit better, and we haven't followed up on it. We're all heads down our own projects. And these are things that we really have to be aware of and work towards, because it's easy to just toss out the bullet points of, here's how we're going to leverage this, this extra stuff here, but we need to buckle down and make sure we actually do that. And of course, finding time when you're trying to ship the other games is tough. So that's one of the big challenges still ahead for us. And the third team at the main building, the Quake Live team, has been it's been an interesting experience. Of course, I talked about this last year, and I kind of announced the idea the year before that. And there are certain things that I'm disappointed in how the project's gone, where at the start, we're again trying these experiments. Let's be a mature company and deal with licensed technology on this, because there had always been, id Software had never really licensed technology for, for a number of reasons, because we relicensed technology, because I always want to make things open source in the end. We don't want encumbrances on that. So there were all these reasons, but part of it was I just thought that, well, we've got